Breaking news on SportsCenter. Oftentimes we see this, and it happened. A little follow the leader in college football. Yesterday, the Big Ten. Today, the Pac-12 announced that the fall season for several Pac-12 sports, including football, would adjust their schedule to conference-only games. They announced this just moments ago. And so when you do just conference games, out-of-conference power matchups like these are no longer. You had Michigan at Washington, USC at Alabama. That's the big one in Arlington, Texas. Ohio State, Oregon, another power matchup. Saw that in the college football playoff a couple of years ago. Stanford at Notre Dame. So many big games out of league. Of course, Notre Dame, the independent, so they schedule all over the country. Makes you wonder what they're going to do with their schedule now, losing two of their opponents from the Pac-12. Want to bring in our college football writer, Adam Rittenberg. And in Rittenberg, we saw this yesterday with the Big Ten. We saw this during college basketball season with the conference tournament. One conference makes a move, as does the other. What does this say to you about the Pac-12's plans?
Well, Matt, yeah, you're right. These conferences typically follow each other. I think the Big Ten's announcement caught a lot of people by surprise just how quickly it happened. But I think a lot of schools or a lot of leagues were talking about the possibility of going conference only. You know, their doctors have been talking to each other for months. They have familiarity with testing on each of the campuses and what's going on, not just on campus, but around the campuses. If you have hot spots for both of the LA schools, just in the area, same with the Arizona schools. So I think they look at this and say, if we're going to play, and it's still an if, not a definite, that there'll be a football season, we feel most comfortable going forward with just our league because we've been in communication the entire way through. You know,
so now we have the Big Ten with the Pac-12. I want to read a statement just from a couple of minutes ago from Alabama and Greg Byrne. And as I've said before, USC AD Mike Bohn and I had multiple conversations over the last several months, and we were both planning on playing a football game September 5th in Arlington, USC, Alabama. With the Pac-12's decision to move on to conference-only schedule, we will do our best to adjust. What that looks like is to be determined. So you had a power matchup between Alabama and USC, and now all these schools are scrambling. Are we at the point now where we're just going to expect every league now to do the same?
Well, I think you're going to see more. I think the ACC is probably next in line. I know that they didn't make a decision yet today. John Swoffert's saying they're going to decide later this month, but I would expect there's a strong possibility they go conference only, and then you're left with the SEC and the Big 12, which I think have a little bit more resistance to going conference only, and they have some big out-of-conference matchups that they would love to play ideally. But I just think, especially if things continue to go in the wrong direction from a virus standpoint and positive tests either on or off campus, this is going to emerge as the safest option for a lot of leagues, maybe every league at the FBS level, just from the testing and the comfort level. And that's why the Big Ten did it, and that's why the Pac-12 did it. And I think everyone would love to see those games, including Notre Dame and USC and Stanford. But I just think it's going to be harder for those leagues to go out of conference and feel that they can have those games put on safely, especially when you're having the travel component factored into it.
Rittenberg, I know you speak to a lot of people in the sport. I've spoken to some people in the sport, and at least from the people that I've spoken with, the popular opinion has been a spring football season just doesn't add up and make sense. What are you hearing? What are your thoughts on this notion of moving the Power 5 schedule to the spring?
Right. Well, again, I think it's all potentially in phases, Matt. I mean, right now we're seeing, instead of a full schedule, a conference-only schedule. And then if that's deemed not possible or no fall sports are deemed safe this fall, then you're going to hear, well, maybe we'll look at the spring, like the Ivy League is doing as a possibility. So that would be the next phase. If fall is out, we'll look at the spring. But I think everybody, to your point, would like to see football in the fall in some form or fashion. They just don't know if they'll be able to pull it off, especially the biggest concern, I'm sure you've heard of it, when students come back to campus, it's going to be even harder to manage the number of positive tests among the athletics teams.
All right, Big Ten yesterday, Pac-12 today. You cut out the non-conference games and you take out a bye week. You're shortening the schedule about 3 weeks to a month there. It all depends what we're going to see this fall with COVID spiking in certain states across the South. Our Adam Rittenberg with us this evening. Adam, thank you.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.